Hi, welcome to the Wellbeing Whizz Omnicast episode 21. And today I've got a transatlantic guest. I'm very excited. His name is Jessie Cole, and she is a yoga instructor. She is a Reiki master. She is many, many things. Hi, Jessie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Bevan. I'm so excited to be here.
It's great. We're having a good old chat beforehand about all things American, so we'll move on to that in a bit. But sure, you know what the podcast's all about. I'm an anxiety management coach. I help people get over their anxiety and sort of live a better life. Is it? What do you do first, and then we'll start moving on to anxiety after that?
I too try to help people have a better life. I found yoga probably, 15 years ago, and I was introduced to Reiki about 10 years ago, and it changed my life. I actually went to school for biology, and I was working as a chemist, and I had started dabbling in yoga at that time, but then I moved to Wisconsin and stayed with a friend for about 6 months, and I had my first Reiki session, and my life just totally went sideways. I worked in a lab for another 5 years, but I became a Reiki master, and I'm like, I'm going to quit my job and be a yoga instructor. And things have just gone exponentially weirder and weirder since then. I've become a lot more spiritual and open-minded, and things have really been incredible and magical.
Brilliant. I mean, I've dabbled in yoga. I wouldn't say I'm a professional by any stretch, and my balance is pretty poor. But yeah, I've enjoyed it when I've done it, and I think it's really a good thing for like so much mentally.
Yeah, the whole mind-body connection. It helps balance your energy. It helps balance your hormones. It helps you not have so much stress. It can help with the depression and anxiety. And I used to be stuck in depression. So that was what led me to it. And then once I started meditating, I just noticed this whole change in my demeanor. And I was like, wow, this is something I need to implement daily.
Cool. So, I mean, like say you just suffered from anxiety yourself, and yoga was one of the things that helped. How were you sort of affected by anxiety? What sort of things did it do to you?
I would wake up gripped with the anxiety because I'm a really type A personality. Like, I'm a real go-getter. I'm very, very driven, and I've got things to do. And I would just wake up with my heart racing, and I was like, oh my gosh. I remember the first time that I had a panic attack. I think I only had it one, but I was a teenager, but I had a kind of bumpy childhood, and then my teenagers were pretty terrible. So I had an anxiety attack, and I thought I was having a heart attack. And, I didn't know. So I ended up calling this hotline, and they walked me through, and I'm like, oh, good, I'm not dying. But yeah, it's been a problem for me, but I haven't really struggled with it for, 3 years. I've finally gotten things managed a lot better.
That's good. I mean, yeah. I mean, having that first panic attack for me was just like the very worst thing. I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was all these kind of things. And when people don't know what it is, when you first don't know what it is, it's literally terrifying.
It is. Yeah, you can't even function. And the whole reason I started my YouTube channel is I just want to help people realize that you don't have to live like that. I mean, there's a way out.
Oh,
you have to take care of yourself.
Exactly why I'm here as well. And it's nice to have someone with a similar thing. But you want to share that excuse me, that knowledge that you don't have to think this way, you don't have to feel this way. It doesn't have to
it's so wonderful once you realize that you can change.
Absolutely. So what was the thing that enabled you to change particularly? Was it yoga?
I was sick and tired of suffering. I suffered so much. I felt like I had really, really deep, 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 dark days. And I was sick of it. And I still have ups and downs, but they're much more manageable. I don't get stuck in it anymore. I don't get stuck in the story. And I've done so much healing work. I've tried all kinds of different things. I've been to like a shaman. I've done Reiki. I've done body work. I've done eating energy medicine. I just got into the emotion code. So, I mean, be really open-minded when it comes to your healing. Work on the whole mind, body, spirit complex. We're more than just our bodies.
That's huge, actually. When you think about it, it's and I kind of preach quite a lot, things like exercise, things like moving enough. If you don't do all these things, you're not feeding all the different parts of your body that needs feeding.
Exercise,
the balance needs to be there. Excuse me, I've got a right cough today. Excuse me. So what would you say that your practice, in particular yoga and meditation and that sort of thing, how does that help anxiety in general? Is there certain parts of it that would help?
Meditation puts you into a different brainwave. It takes you to the theta brainwave, I think. It's really, really important to do it daily. Even if it's only for 10 or 15 minutes to start off with 1 minute, start off with 5 minutes, and just try to sit comfortably. It's not, I want to demystify it. Like, all you have to do is sit in a chair, sit on a couch, check in with your body, check in with your breath. Breathe into your belly. Start by breathing in through your nose, not through your nose, breathing into your stomach, and just observe your breath. Let your breath anchor you into the present moment. And do it when you're waiting in line at a store, do it while you're driving, do it when you're about to lose your shit, because you want to implement this practice so that when you are in a stressful situation, you can kind of step back and say, oh, okay, maybe I'm reacting poorly. So
and you know what, demystifying it is the big thing. I always said, oh, you know what, meditation would be brilliant for me to like get over anxiety. But then you start reading about it and you think, oh, I'm never gonna be able to do this. Clear your mind. Clear your mind.
Meditate are weird.
I don't have a long enough beard or a long enough hair. I don't sit on a mountain. There's no way I can do this. And
even with yoga, I mean, I've been practicing yoga for 15 years and I can't even get into the splits. I've been trying to get into the splits for a year, and I have a yoga YouTube channel, and I couldn't even touch my toes when I started. And finally, like, I got so frustrated trying to get into the splits, not quite getting there. I'm like, you know what? We're gonna moveon.com for right now. Because
always look at the people. Oh, that everyone's an expert. When you start something, everyone's an expert apart from you. Everyone knows better than you. And then that demystifying meditation, like just concentrate on your breath, concentrate on this. It's like simple. It really is quite simple.
It really is.
This is why they give you a mantra, so you've got something to bring you back to and focus to or whatever.
Yeah, the hardest part is controlling your mind. I mean, I used to try and control everybody else. Now all I do is try and control myself, because if you spend like even 5 minutes meditating, you're like, oh my gosh, my mind, they call it monkey mind, because your mind just yaps like a dog. It doesn't shut up. And I mean, I feel like men are better, like men have a nothing box from what I understand. Like, men are so much better at quieting their minds than women. Like, women, from what I understand, I could be wrong, the brain is divided into two hemispheres, and women can do both sides at the same time. So if men are processing emotions, then their logic, like it's either logic or emotion, and women are processing logic and emotion at the same time.
Wow, I didn't know that. It's a good thing I'm not a woman then, because mine was bad enough.
Shut it off.
Wow. And do you know what? And there's me. I was unable to I must have had some sort of miswiring then, because I could never shut it off. I had the whirling thoughts, the constant nagging. But it was not until I discovered that thought led to emotion.
Yeah.
Which
that's
I just
powerful.
I just thought they were one and the same. And the other big realization was I wasn't my thoughts. You know, that was what used to kill me, was the constant chatter, like you say, that monkey brain going on and on in my own voice. So it must be me. So I must be down to myself. I must be hating what I did, X, Y, and Z. And it was that drove me to the edge, I think.
Yeah, I think I read a book probably 10, 12 years ago about thought forms. And that was a catalyst for me, because I had really negative self-talk, because you only know what you learn from your parents, and your parents only know what they learned from their parents. And a lot of our family situations are pretty toxic. So I had really negative thought forms. I had negative thought patterns. I had super low self-esteem. I didn't believe in myself. I thought I was worthless. I had a bunch of shame, and, you know, all that stuff was just fueling this terrible, terrible pattern. And of course that led to anxiety, and of course it led to depression. So
it's that realizing that, you know what, a thought's like a cloud in the sky. It can pass. You can choose to think about it, not to. Choice is another big thing that I learned that stopped my anxiety. And what I try and teach a lot of people I work with is, you have a choice every day when you get up.
Every moment, every thought.
Like you say, it's not just every day, it's every millisecond of every day. You can choose to pay attention, not pay attention. And that was what moved me on. And it sounds like what moved you on as well. You know, you learned that it's that, you know, you can choose to listen to your voice, or you can choose not to. You can choose to say something different. And
you can choose to suffer, or you can choose to be happy about things.
Absolutely. And it sounds, a lot of people I've spoken to, it's almost like a spiritual practice of sorts, whether it's meditation or it's yoga or it's whatever, has then led them into further learning.
Yes.
about how the brain works, then opens the door to understanding your own anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It's brilliant. I love it. The more people should just read more. That's my one lesson.
Yes. It's sad that we live in an illiterate society. It really is.
So, I mean, in your work, I mean, you obviously come across people who are stressed and who are probably anxious as well. How do you help them with yoga and things like that to get out of it? What's your sort of secret sauce to help people make people feel better?
I just guide them into proper poses because you can injure yourself if you don't do the poses right. So I try to be pretty mindful of coaching and cueing up the poses well. And I do a guided meditation at the end. And it varies. I mean, I'll do them on change and fear and suffering and letting go of anger. And I try to lead by example.
It's a fantastic YouTube channel. What we'll do is we'll make sure we let people know where it is in the show notes, but we'll tell them about it at the end as well. But I've certainly been on there and watched a few videos and had a little crack at it. So
yay!
I'm like a baby giraffe, but it's to be honest, I should probably video me doing it and send it to you to put it on your channel because it is worth watching. It's quite funny.
I would totally do that.
And
I could link you up in the comments too.
Definitely. Is there a common myth about all things yoga that you'd like to sort of dispel and tell people it's not true? Is there like a
yeah, anybody can do yoga. You don't have to be super flexible. You don't have to be a woman. It's not a religion.
A religion? That's an interesting. People say that to you.
Yeah, it's one of the common myths. I actually have a yoga myth video on my channel.
Oh, I should have watched that. So
it's not boring. Like you can do fast yoga, you can do invigorating yoga. I got into yoga because I don't really like to exercise that much. Like the people that go to high power cardio classes, good for them.
Yeah, well done, you guys. But
not for me. I'd rather die.
I've just made an investment in a pair of roller skates, inline skates for my birthday to get fit. Now, this could be the craziest decision ever made.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, good. And hopefully I've got good insurance and the National Health Service is not oversubscribed.
It could be fun. I mean, I've actually learned to love exercising because you feel good after you do it. And, it can be fun. Like I enjoy roller skating and stuff like that. But, going to like a high power workout class, it was like, no. I mean, I run I think it takes me 12 minutes to run a mile.
Didn't it say that the hardest part of running is putting your trainers on at the start, putting your running shoes?
Yeah.
That's because it is the motivation part of it. It's like, oh, it's raining out and I can't be bothered and it's too far. And all these you say that's the hardest part of the run is sticking your training shoes on at the start. So with the yoga then, I'm trying to. I still can't get over this. People think it was a religion. It's really
because you change. You become more spiritual and more open-minded. And a lot of people are just stuck in this reality. And I mean, I've always been incredibly open-minded. And I mean, I feel like people think it's religion because you start to believe in energy and you start to believe that we're not just this body, you're energetic beings, you're connected with God. You're just like, I explain it to my kids, like God is a bonfire, but we're little candles that come off of the bonfire. And my stepson was like, that's the best description I've ever had of God. And I mean, he's not spiritual at all. Like
I love that. I tell you what, I always, whenever I'm doing these podcasts, I always think, oh, that's the clip I'm going to use. I think I've just found it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's brilliant.
I try to make things easy for people to understand because a lot of the concepts that I chase, that I learn about, that I listen to, like they're big concepts. Mm-hmm. So I feel like one thing that I'm here to do is to try and make things easier for people to digest it and make it easier for them to awaken and start their spiritual journey.
Brilliant. And so I was going to say before, think about yoga for anxiety then is it the exercise part, you're creating that kind of serotonin from exercise and all that? Is there anything else? Am I missing something really obvious?
Okay, so yoga for anxiety, you would want to do like a slower class. And if you're feeling anxious, you want to do a lot of forward folds. You want to do a lot of gentle poses and really focus on your breathing because that's where it's at, is in the forward folds, and just do an easier, slower class.
Okay, that's good. That's good for people to know who listen to, pop onto your channel and pick the right one, So lots of forward folds and a slower class. Sounds like I know what I'm on about.
Right. Yeah.
Sounds like an expert. Hey, everybody, just do lots of forward folds and have a slower class. Okay, So this chosen career that you've chosen, are they sort of, can you name sort of 3 people who have sort of helped with your development, who you'd say, yeah, these people I want to give a shout out to because they've made me who I am?
Yes. Okay. One of my best friends, Sophia Benedict, she's on Instagram. I am Manifestation Mama. She actually held my hand to start my YouTube channel. Like, she came over, she helped me pick out a camcorder, she helped me with the lighting. I was completely inept when it came to all of the things that had to do with media and getting online. Like, I had a website and she looked at it, she's like, this website is crap, you should come to Bluehost and I will help you with that. And I'm like, okay. And I'd write her a check and she's like, I'm your friend, you don't have to pay me. I'm like, but you've done so much for me.
I've had a similar experience. That, like, the lady who helps me with my Instagram and my branding, and I took one look at my website. She went, did you make this? And I was like, yes.
I thought it was good.
I was really proud of it at the time.
Now I'm not.
Took me 3 months.
Right?
Yes. So Sophia's what was she again? I am manifesting.
I am Manifestation Mama.
Oh, a lot of people who listen would like to get, if she does that kind of thing on there, would like to get into that.
She is getting into human design. She is a life coach. She does NLP. She just got certified in that, and she does breath work. I've done some breath work sessions with her. Those are powerful. You release a lot of garbage then.
Wow, we might have to get her on the show. Actually, I might have to try and get in touch with her after this. That'd be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I can link you guys up. She's incredible.
I'll tell you what, we're matchmaking live across the Atlantic right here. So who's another person that you would say sort of guided your?
Probably. I've got to give a shout out to actualize.org. It's on YouTube. It's this guy named Leo Guerra, and he is incredible. He talks about really deep topics, and he really made me think about things a lot differently. I've plugged into him for the last couple of years. And, I don't know him personally, but I feel like it has really helped me expand my awareness and my consciousness.
Right. Is that YouTube actualize.org, did you say?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Right. Again, another one I have to have a look at.
Yeah. And probably the third would be my son. I feel like he is a mirror for me for all the ways that I want to be and don't want to be, because your kids sure do show you your flaws.
Oh my word. You see all your worst traits coming out in them. And then you see, I in particular see my dad's worst traits coming out in me when I'm talking to him. And then I think, oh my God, it's like this horrible 3 mirror thing where I'm like, I've become my dad. He's become me. He's become my annoying younger brother. And I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, it's funny how your children they almost know every single little secret button to press to get you to amp up, but they also know every single little button to press to make you love them unconditionally at the same time.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like my son is so much like me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be a rough ride with this one. If he's anything like me.
And your parents are like, ha, you see?
Exactly.
I can just see the glint of my mum and dad's eye when they come over and go, yeah, you've got it all coming.
Yeah, exactly. I've apologized to my mom so many times.
Oh, me too. I've got a teenage boy now. I'm like, crikey, Mum, was I like this? And she was like, like, oh, no. But so I mean, I'm a big reader. I don't know about you. I love to read. In fact, we were talking about books before we started recording. Is there one book that you would suggest to the listeners or the watchers that they should get hold of and read?
The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Ha! That's the second week running. The second week running that book's been in there. And what do you particularly like about that book? What's
Well, I would recommend reading it slowly, but it's all about being in the present moment. It's all about mindfulness. And what I liked about it is he touches on the pain body, which I didn't even know existed. So the pain body is what hurt you as a child. Your pain body is this monster within you that lies dormant, and it'll get triggered by a word or a phrase or something that hurt you very deeply as a child. And then all of a sudden, before you realize it, you're really sad, you're really anxious, you're really angry. It comes out in some terrible way, and you're overreacting and treating the people around you horribly. And it's not the same cues and triggers for everybody. Yeah. It is all, geared towards your pain. So when I learned about that, I'm like, no wonder I'm so sad. My pain body is sadness. Okay, well, how do I overcome that? But it really helped me with, the whole spiritual journey I'm on.
It's just a brilliant book, and especially for people who I read it very early on in my sort of change. I think my change from being anxious to managing it, if you like.
Yeah.
It's not really like, the biggest problem with me was I wasn't in the moment. I was never in the now.
No.
What if the next week, the next month, I always describe it like, you see the movie Final Destination, where they're supposed to die in a plane crash and they don't, and then each character's killed off by a series of unfortunate incidents. My brain was like that. If
you're anxious, it's forward thinking. If you're sad, it's backwards thinking.
Exactly. I was like, if I do that, this will happen, then this will happen, this will happen, and all these 1% chances add up, and then I'll be in a ball of flames by the end of the week.
Right.
It sounds funny now, but yeah, I wasn't living in the now. And like you say,
most of us aren't.
It's so hard but it's so easy to do when you start to appreciate so many more things when.
Yeah.
And that was my big realization. I read that book and I spoke to my wife, and I get quite emotional about it now. I just burst into tears. I'm like, I've wasted time.
Years.
The amount of time on the earth, and I've wasted it. I've wasted worrying about stuff that's never going to happen, or that I control, or that isn't happening. I've been on beautiful holidays and seen beautiful countries, and I've been away thinking about something else while the most beautiful things have been in front of me.
And once you start becoming aware of it, like for a while when I was going through transition, I'd be out and I would notice that I was starting to spiral and things were getting out of control. And I'm like, well, I'm out in nature, but I'm ruining it. So I think that's a really good step. You're like, I can't stop thinking about this. And awareness is key to start to realize that you keep ruminating on things. You keep going back and worrying that thought or worrying that idea or worrying that conversation.
Absolutely.
And you can start asking yourself questions like, is it true? Are you sure it's true? And that's powerful too, because, if you have a difficult situation, I feel like all of our relationships are mirrors. Like if you for instance, I have struggled with my sister since my father passed away. Like we fought a lot because my dad was like the linchpin in our family, which once he was gone, like a lot of our insecurities came out and we started arguing constantly. And I was like, what is it? What is going on here? Well, I feel like it was like a mirror of how I didn't love myself.
Mm-hmm.
And, your family sure can bring out the best and the worst in you. But once I started loving myself more and seeing the good aspects of her, our relationship really improved. And she struggles with anxiety too. So I can't wait to work on her more.
To get my hands inside her brain.
I've done some Reiki on her and she said that she's never felt more relaxed. So
no, I've had Reiki just the once and I really enjoyed it. I felt so much better after it. And then I didn't sort of carry it. And I kind of wish I had, because it really got rid of a lot of anxious thoughts very quickly. And then but it's that relaxed state that you're not in.
Well, it clears out your energetic body. Like you've got 7 chakras in your body and it helps clear out the emotional baggage. Because if you're living in fear, anxiety, or worry or sadness, then you're stuck in your lower 3 emotions and it causes blockages. You're not able to access the higher energetic systems. So instead of drawing from universal life force energy, you're drawing from your own energy and it makes you tired.
Oh, that was the big thing. It's like, and everyone I talk to is anxious, all my clients, and especially from my own personal experience, I was exhausted the whole time. Like, it's like you've been to the well too many times and you've got nothing left, and you just
can't get from an empty cup.
Exactly, you're just exhausted, and it's because I think you're running a marathon in your head 24 hours a day. You're running around in circles, exhausting yourself through worry, and also you're on that kind of. I always describe it as like a scale from 0 to 100. You're on that sort of 90% ready to pop the whole time.
Right.
And you're on the edge, and it's the fear of the fear keeps you on the edge, and you're expecting another attack of fear, you're expecting another attack of panic, and it's just that exhausting kind of hamster wheel, if you like, of fear. And that's one thing that every client I've ever spoke to, she's like, you know what, I just want to sleep nicely, I just want to not be thinking about something, Reiki will be good for that. Like you say, getting that, you end up not getting the energy from yourself, then you're not tiring yourself out.
Right.
I'll get some more, I think. Is there sort of one thing you do every day that you would suggest would be good for our listeners? Meditate. Oh, straight in.
I do not miss a meditation. I don't care if it's my birthday, if it's Christmas, if it's a holiday, if I'm sick, if somebody died, I meditate daily.
Really? So,
Yeah.
and is that for just staying within yourself and keeping in the moment? And
Yep. And I'm a terrible meditator. Like I really am. I like, you can find a spot where it's really quiet in your head and it'll last for like 30 seconds. I'm like, oh my gosh, I made it. I'm meditating. And in that moment, like you you're not straight up again.
You're back out again. It's like, yes,
I'm really not that good at it. And I've been doing it consistently for like, 5 years. And I've been doing it daily probably for about a year. But yeah, you don't have to be good at it. Like the goal of meditation is to just check in with your body, and you start to realize that sometimes, even if you have anxiety in your belly, sometimes it's not anxiety. Like sometimes it's excitement. Sometimes your body's just trying to give you feedback. Sometimes it's just body awareness, because most of us are so out of touch with our bodies. And if you don't know your own body, then how are you going to be able to move through the world efficiently?
That's it. And you could be misinterpreting. That is a word for an Englishman to be honest.
Yeah, most of us are misinterpreting all the things.
All the signs, the sensations.
Yeah.
One thing about excitement is one of my biggest things that I say to clients. If like you and I are in a queue for a roller coaster, we're having the same feeling, sensation. You're labeling it, I'm scared of this roller coaster. I'm labeling it, I'm excited for the roller coaster.
Yeah, exactly.
That funny butterfly in our stomach. I've got sweaty palms. We're like a little bit, we both have it. They're almost twins.
Yeah, they are. Excitement. You're absolutely right.
Close. And this is an analogy I use all the time. I'm like, imagine queuing for a roller coaster with a twin of yours and you're both feeling differently about it.
Right.
But checking in every day with your body and being, what's the word? Like present almost. Meditating makes you present, makes you in the moment. All the things that I'd encourage people who are anxious to do. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you know, but I am obsessed with time travel. I did a course on time travel.
I love it.
How to change your past and how to create your future through thought. So if I could make my time machine like I do weekly in my courses, and I could send you back to meet 20-year-old you, what would you say? What would be a bit of advice for 20-year-old Jessie?
I'd tell her it's going to be all right.
Do you know, that would be, I'd love that. Bald me to turn up to hairy me back in a day and say, Bevan, it's all going to be all right, mate.
Yeah. You'll get through it. You're going to figure it out.
And then you're not, I suppose then you're not messing with the timeline either. You're not giving them too much information.
Right. Yeah.
You're just going to tell them it's okay.
Because I wouldn't change anything. Like I used to want to change things, but now I realize that all of that pain and suffering caused me to be who I am today. That's what cracks you open and makes you transform from the caterpillar to the butterfly.
There you go again with another quote from I'll tell you what, you're rolling out these quotes today. That's beautiful. But yeah, it's true. It's like, without being anxious in the first place, I wouldn't now be helping all these people and doing a job I love doing.
Yeah, same.
It's almost, without it, you wouldn't, you had to have it. It was like part of the recipe, part of the...
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And so, yeah, I would have gone, during my most anxious times, I'd have gone back to myself and said, oh, don't do this, don't do that. But now, you're right, I probably wouldn't. I'd just say, look, go for the journey. Do the journey.
Yeah.
See how it
Good luck.
Enjoy.
It's going to be a roller coaster.
Don't have that extra pint on the 29th of December. You'll get sick. But apart from that, carry on, crack on. Okay, so, it's been lovely to have you on, and I've got two more questions for you, and these are my favorite two because they're the most fun and the most interesting. What's the one question you would have liked me to ask you that I didn't?
What is the spiritual journey?
What is the spiritual journey? So, what is... I always do that. I always pop up and ask the question.
Okay, so you can start off with the dark night of the soul. So that can last for a day or years, where you just feel lost and confused and like everything is terrible. And then you start going through an awakening process where you realize that there's more to life than what you see and hear and feel and taste and touch. And then you realize that we are all little candles off of the big bonfire of God, and that there's so much more to life than what you see in front of you, and that we're all connected, and that we're all on this magical journey if we just allow it. Like coincidences help lead you to where you're going. Like if you, hear a song that resonates with you, or if you keep running into the same person, you're on the right path. You're on your way.
I should have definitely asked that question because the answer was amazing. I can see why you wanted me to ask. I love that. That's canned it up in like one lovely little soundbite. That's just brilliant.
Oh, great.
I love that. That's great. I like the idea of this dark night of the soul that could last ages. I suppose it could last years, I guess.
It can. And you'll like bring your head up above water, but a lot of times what you're doing is you're sending rockets of desire up. I'm a big fan of Abraham Hicks, and they're pretty incredible. But like you're putting fodder in for your transformation. As soon as you realize that there's something that you don't want, you are asking powerfully for what you do want. Once you realize what you don't want, and all you have to do is figure out how to get out of your own way. That's crucial.
And to be honest, that's probably the hardest thing.
It is.
To do. It's like, your natural feeling is, I don't want to feel anxious anymore. I hate it. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Don't let this happen to me.
Or, ruminating. I was so stuck in I'm not good enough and everybody's better than me. And look, they're a much better yoga instructor. Of course, they're going to follow her. Like she can go into the split.
Yeah, you're not looking at what you've got over what they've got. And yeah, it's that kind of, it's natural, and there's enough people to watch YouTube out there that will come and watch you, as there is enough. It's understanding that you've got your own thing, you've got your own niche, you've got your own skills, you've got your own talent.
Yeah, for sure. You're
going to attract your own tribe, and there's going to be people who don't like the yoga teacher over there who can do the splits because she can do the splits, maybe.
Right.
It could well be jealousy, split envy, so to speak.
Right.
But yeah, and it's like you say, getting out of your own way and realizing that you've got stuff to offer the world, and it's that. I think it took me probably to the age of 40 even to realize that I was allowed to dislike things, and that was fine, and people were allowed to dislike me, and that was fine.
When you were 40, you realized that?
Oh God, yeah. It took me such a long time.
40 is the best age.
Oh, it is.
I feel like you really quit hearing. You're like, whatever, it's fine.
It's like, you hit 40, you're like, right, I've got an opinion now, and I'm old enough to have it.
I've heard it.
And I'm going to spread this bloody opinion everywhere, and you're all going to listen.
You don't like it? Great.
You know what?
That's on yours.
But that's it. I think I got to 40 and I was like, I made that realization that, hang on a minute, there's two sets of rules here. I'm allowed to dislike other people and other things, but no one's allowed to dislike me at all, because I get devastated by that.
Right.
And I was like, hang on a minute, that's nonsense. Like, why should I care? Like that person.
Well, it's a natural.
I don't like them.
It's a natural thing to want to be liked and accepted, because like we would rather be wrong than be excluded. Like they did experiments. I just read a book about it. It was so fascinating. I think it was called Atomic Habits, maybe.
That book.
But they did an experiment, and they found that like if somebody that you liked, like if you're in a group of people and they started lying about something, like simple things, finally you would just start to go along with the crowd because you want to be accepted and you want to be liked. And like whenever something like that happens, it's ego death. Like a part of your ego dies, and you want to stay the same. Like that's why it's so painful to change, and why you keep backsliding, because every time that you change, a part of yourself dies, a part of your ego dies. And that's why we want to maintain homeostasis, and that's why change is so painful.
Oh, again, great stuff. And it's that need to be part of a tribe that's very much centered in our old kind of like brain, if you like, cave people brain. It's that kind of, if I'm not in a tribe, then I'm vulnerable. If I'm not,
then you're dead.
Safe.
I mean, think about what would happen if you're excommunicated from the tribe, like even 500 years ago. Oh, you would die.
This is why people, like you say, in Atomic Habits, why I think it was, were they like sort of being cruel to, or suggesting they'd be cruel to kittens? Or, there was some weird kind of really extreme kind of situation in the book, and it was like, this one guy was planted in there and to say something quite extreme. People were like, oh no, and then they all started sliding over to this obviously extreme.
It's crazy.
Just to sort of not be excused me. It was fascinating, but that is a good book actually, Atomic Habits.
It is.
And it's lovely the way they describe I think it's the British cycling team, how they're making these tiny gains to
Yeah.
improve over time. And
Uh-huh.
the best
I
analogy
would
is
highly recommend that book. It really
so
helped.
good. There's the analogy about the aeroplane. Like if you set off from here to New York and you change the thing by 1 degree, the heading by 1 degree, you don't
Uh-huh.
know when you take off, but when you get to New York, you're like miles off target because
Right.
tiny change and that length of time that proves that, you know, a change can happen if you do it slightly.
Yeah.
Really, really cool book. I would suggest that one. When I interview myself, which I did today for a podcast, I'll mention.
Well done.
Okay. Now, the next question is the fun one. It's the one that the previous guest asked the next guest. So last week we had Joanne Ripley on, who's a moon manifestation coach, very spiritual.
I love that.
And she appeared from space. So the next question was, do you have a sort of a daily spiritual practice? Do you have a spiritual practice? And I think you've already answered it.
Yes. So I start off, I wake up and I pet my cat for like 15 minutes because he stalks me and I adore cats. And then I get some coffee and then I drink a cup of coffee and then I meditate and then I do some yoga and then I tune into some uplifting something on YouTube. I'm following all kinds of spiritual people on YouTube. So
you've got almost like a whole spiritual menu before you start your day, really.
I have to. It keeps me level because I realize that if I don't do all that stuff, I suffer, and I'm quite done with that. So,
can I follow it? But skip the cat bit because I'm allergic to cats. It would start my day off very badly.
So a dog.
I've got a dog.
Yeah, in your profile picture.
Pinky the Wonder Dog. I'm not allergic to her, so I'll give her a cuddle in the morning.
Oh. And I also practice mindfulness throughout the day. That's something that I highly recommend to people. Just step back and check in with yourself at little points in the day, like when you're standing in line, when you're driving in your car. Just be aware of what's going on with your body, what your thought process is, how things are going. Like if you're starting to, and after a while, you'll become so attuned with yourself that you can actually feel the energy changes in your body. Like you can feel, you know, the negativity starting to take over, the anxiousness, the fear, the whatever it is for you. Everybody has different triggers. So
that's right. And it being in that awareness, this is the first thing I try and teach on my courses. It's the awareness of,
yeah, it's huge.
I do sort of awareness, acceptance, change, because you can't change if you're not aware, and you can't change if you're not accepting what's
awareness
going on.
is the first step.
And it's huge, and it's noticing what your mind's doing, noticing what your body's doing. And like you say, if you practice these little things, just being present, being aware of what's going on, the sensations, the emotions you're feeling, it's part, I'd say it's 75% of the battle. Over halfway.
Yeah, it helps you weather life's changes when something big comes your way. Because if you can't make it through a regular day, how are you going to make it through the death of your parents or your spouse? I mean, when my dad died, that was my catalyst for my spiritual transition. I mean, it just skyrocketed things. But you know, a lot of times something like that is your catalyst.
It is that. I don't think I can preach it enough. That mindfulness part of everyday life it's where I got lost. I wasn't living in now, like I said before, I was living in tomorrow or the next week or 2 years later, as my brain rushed off and I was living in a cardboard box by the end of my thought. It was like I was always like so many steps ahead. I was never dealing with what was in front of me, and you just you drown in it. It's just awful.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's. Are you a journaler? Do you journal at all?
Sometimes. I'm pretty bad about it, but I try to.
You see, I always ask people that.
Yeah, I did the Miracle Morning, I think, with Hal Elrod, I think. But I was really consistent about journaling, and then I just kind of got out of the habit. But
that's it.
I try really hard
into it, isn't it? You've got to be kind of, if it doesn't become a habit, then it's not for you. I think that's it. I think the journaling, it's one of them things where it sticks and it sticks for a long time. Or
I do love to write. I've started writing a book. So I mean, I've been trying to schedule time for that, just about like, exercise and getting out of nature. I also recommend unplugging, because nature, I'm reading a book right now called Nature Fix for the second time. There's going to be a chapter dedicated to nature because it actually helps boost your mood. It has anti-anxiety, anti-sadness, like getting out of nature, even for short periods of time, can help boost your mood. It helps to elevate the endorphins. It helps to elevate all the good feeling things. And
The old
just to
serotonin, yeah.
unplug. Huh?
The serotonin, you get that from being out in nature. That's some good stuff.
All that good stuff. Nature is so good for you.
And to be honest, we're both in countries that have amazing countrysides, amazing bits of nature.
Yeah,
we sure free, do. And especially at this time when we're not allowed to do anything else, really, we are allowed to get out in nature. And it's you know, it was the one thing the governments, when we were in this lockdown period, you know, really pushed was get out and exercise, take your 30 minutes a day, get outside. You know, there's clearly something in it, and people need to do it more. But
yeah.
Cool. And so what would your, I like this bit, it's my favorite. What would your question be to our next victim stroke guest stroke?
Okay, I'm ready for this one. If you could choose between $1 million or going back in time to change something, what would you pick?
Oh, that's cool. You've taken my favorite topic and $1 million. I could choose $1 million. Wow. What would your answer be to that?
I'd take $1 million. I wouldn't change a thing.
Of course, yeah. Before we discussed that, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
$1 million, yeah. You could do a lot with $1 million, couldn't you? And
well, I'm gonna think of the butterfly effect. You know, if you didn't go through that bad relationship, you wouldn't be with your current person.
And then that moment would never come around where you got offered $1 million. It could happen that the $1 million moment would never happen, and oh my word, it would all be a mess.
Right.
The timeline's screwed up. Take the $1 million. That's what I'd do. Yeah, great. Oh, I can't wait to ask the next person that. And I know, let me think. I know who the next person is. So yeah, she'll really appreciate that. That's a good question. She'll like that.
Oh, great.
It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. Honestly, I've really enjoyed chatting to you, and I think we'll have to do this a lot more.
Yeah, for sure.
So, where can people get hold of you? So like Instagram and YouTube and things like that?
Yep, I'm on Instagram at Jessie Cole Wellness. And my website is jessiecolewellness.com, and I'm on YouTube. I think that is still Jessie Cole Yoga, but if you search it, it'll pop up, and go ahead.
A lady trying to do the splits.
Right, yeah. I actually do have a yoga for splits, but I show people how to use a bolster because at that time, probably now I've gone back to needing a bolster because I was like, forget about
it. I'd need a chiropractor if I got halfway down.
Right? Well, and a lot of the stuff that I have, it's like introductory, but I do Pilates too because I love cheese and chocolate. So I've always got to try and like work my midsection.
Gotta love cheese and chocolate. Again, it's the only things. There's so many things left in life that you can't take away, and cheese and chocolate are two of them.
Right. Well, and I think another misconception about yoga is you have to like give up all the good stuff. And I'm still a carnivore. Like I do eat healthier and I buy a lot more organic stuff because I realize the impact that processed foods has on your diet. But I have a sweet tooth and I eat so much cheese. Did you know that cheese has a morphine effect on your brain? It's like doing morphine. That's why people love cheese so much.
That's why I get in a cheese coma at Christmas.
Yeah.
Explain it. That and the port. The port doesn't help.
I don't even remember where I learned that, but I was like, well, no wonder.
Like morphine. Do you know, I love writing the show notes after this because there's so many fun things. Like, and that one's just going, yeah, cheese comas. Brilliant. Honestly, thank you so much for coming along. And I just want to quickly say you can get to my website as normal, download my free ebook, Calm Mind, Worry Lessons, which is www.thewellbeingwiz.com/calm mind. Free ebook there. But thanks for tuning in and thanks for coming, Jessie. Cheers.
Thanks, Bevan. It was great.